Welcome, guys, to the
Hey,
car talk today. I guess we'll introduce ourselves. I'm Ashley,
I'm Hunter.
and today we're just gonna be talking about education mostly, just like our college experience because we're both post grad right now, and it's been rough
Girl, it's a
to say the
lore. It's
least.
a lore.
It's a lore in itself, and there's so many things that goes into post grad that I feel like hasn't been talked about or like I didn't know until I was in it. So we're gonna talk about our experiences, what we're learning now, what we want to do going forward, and how we're navigating and coping with everything. But I guess we'll just get into it and like start off with how our college experience was and like our takeaways from it because we both started college during the pandemic, which isn't everybody's reality. And I like to think we're special in that we're like the guinea pigs of the generation that we got to experience something as crazy as that and then still prevailed afterwards. Because not a lot of people who started college with us graduated with us. It just definitely a lot that goes into that. So I'm gonna have you start by
Okay,
talking about your experience.
so I guess I'll start out by saying I graduated with my degree in psychology, and then I have two minors in nonprofit and Black studies.
Two minors, girl.
I got
That was just
two. I got
one.
two. Yeah,
Okay.
in nonprofit and Black studies, and my goal was I always knew what I wanted to do in college, and I don't think that that's normal either. I feel like people make it seem like it is. I feel like I was just lucky though, because that's not normal. I think I only knew what I wanted to do because of how I grew up, but I've always wanted to give back to my community, the Black community. So I knew that my minor was going to be Black studies. And then nonprofit came to me because I realized with college that I want to open a nonprofit for kids who can't afford to attend to their mental health. Thank you. Thank you. But it was definitely a hard experience. I am glad. I would do it again. We talk about that a lot. I would definitely do it again because I don't think that I would be the person I am today without this experience. And I was definitely a different person in high school. I was very shy, very timid. I questioned myself a lot. And that's why I think college is important. I think that being on your own is important. I think that going through those experiences yourself and having to make own decisions for yourself is very important, and it doesn't get talked about, especially in our town.
Yeah.
In our town, it is so native to stay where you are and just be happy and content with where you are and don't go anywhere, live off of and take money from your parents, don't get a job. Like, that's basically where we come from. That's all they teach you here. So it was actually kind of bizarre to them, probably, that we went to college and that we didn't go to what was considered the normal colleges, like where our whole high school went. But I think we really, jumping out of high school, wanted to experience that for ourselves and wanted to change. And we knew that throwing ourselves into new environments and new experiences would help us do that.
And even within that, like trying to navigate like being in lockdown too, because that was a whole different thing to like deal with, especially with our high school experience. Like we didn't have the best time in high school, and then now like having the reality of not being able to enjoy our last year the way that we planned on doing that, and then having to like start a whole new life or basically journey in college, and having to like basically be stuck in the house and not be able to get out or do things or meet new people. It was hard. Like I definitely struggled my first year of freshman year of college. Like I was convinced I wasn't going to make it to the end. I was convinced that I was going to drop out and just like be a freelance artist and do whatever and figure it out on my own. And then my parents was like, psych, you're actually doing the whole 4 years, so good luck. And so I'm like, well, it came to the fact that it's like we're all in the same boat. There's nothing to do besides to go to school. So that was like the perfect time to really just like focus on my classes, focus on what I want to do, focus on like what I see myself doing in the future. And I'm glad that things happened the way they did, because I think like I wouldn't have had the same outlook on college that I have now too. I think like my like best years in school ever was like my last 2 years of college. Like I know that you had a different experience than me because you went out of state and you got to kind of experience what it's like to be on your own and kind of navigate adulthood on top of being in college, which is a whole different thing to navigate on its own. Like I had this security of being with my parents and having like them to lean on if I needed anything, because if you don't know, like when you go to college, you have no money. Like basically, you have no, like all your money.
Nice.
Like
you got some, no, you don't.
Even if you do have money, like you're only able to work a certain amount of time during the week because of classes and all that, depending on what your schedule is. So it's like I couldn't imagine what it's like to like have to provide for yourself while also being in school and having classes to deal with on top of that. So I think what the beautiful thing is about college is everybody has different experiences based on what their circumstances are, what their living situation is, and like what school they're going to as well. Like she basically sees a car roll up, locks the car door.
That's from my
right. So it's like
that's from my dome. So
she had a experience with like kind of living on campus and living in an apartment with other people from her school, and I didn't have to deal with that. I was like, forget the dorms. I'm staying in my house. I'm staying in my room, and I had to commute to school, so I had a different experience on top of that, while also being kind of like in an art department or art program at my school where there wasn't a lot of people that looked like me. So it was hard to like really figure out who my people were and where I'm going to find my community at. So it's like I would say my experience overall was like a 7 out of 10. How would you rate it? I think I would say a solid 7 out of 10.
See, when I'm comparing my experiences, I also want to take into account like how much I grew from them, because although they were some of, or most of these experiences were bad, I did grow from them and I did learn from them. So I'm grateful to them. Also, I'm also comparing it to my past experiences in schooling systems. So I would actually give it like an 8.5 compared
okay. That's pretty
to
good.
past experiences and how much I've grown from these experiences.
I would say 7 out of 10 because I feel like half of the time I was there, like I'd had no classes in person until maybe my junior year of college.
Same,
and
actually.
by that time I was already like kind of like on my way out in a way. Like I didn't have time to go to all the different clubs that they had because I was busy with classes and work. And I think also too, which we will get into soon, was like there was so much pressure to have everything lined up after college. And one thing I feel like I wish that people, or like not even people in general, just like my teachers, my parents, like would say, just to enjoy the process and not focus too much on having everything figured out before you leave. Because the way that I was stressed out down boots my last semester, being like, what am I gonna do with my life when I'm like 22, girl, not knowing what I'm doing,
literally a
even
newborn.
like literally a newborn baby, like barely even like feeding myself every day. I think if I took the time to really like enjoy the present moment, that it would have been a better experience. But especially when everybody else is in the same boat as you and thinking the same things and stressed out like you are, it's hard to really take in that moment and be like, these are the last years, last moments, last times I'm gonna have with other people who are in the same age group, who are in the same experiences as me, and enjoying this time together. And so I think looking back, why I rated it a 7, I would say because of that, and because I was so focused on the future to the point where it took away from the present moment. I would say for sure, like being present, I would say for sure not joining as many clubs as I felt like I should have, and being more immersed like with my own people that looked like me. I feel like I would have taken more time if I could go back and do it again, to like really like put my roots down in the communities that I was in and just be a little bit more involved rather than so focused on like my classes. There's a give and take to everything. Like you have to have balance with everything, but I think there should have been more emphasis on that sense of community for sure. And then I would definitely say like I wish that my professors talked about post grad a little bit more. Like if I had a warning before this point in my life, I would have listened. And I don't even think I said when I got my degree. Yeah, girl, first of all, I got my degree in graphic design and my minor is in digital media productions. So thank you. So I took classes based on like not even art history, just like history of graphic design. Kind of learned the basis of what design was, learned different programs, and then like later on, halfway through my college career, I started getting into like movies and really liking the idea of like filmmaking and creating design for that and creating design for the people who like films but can't commit to like making their own thing. So I got my minor in digital media productions, and so I started creating multimedia projects that kind of like blurred the lines between like film and photography and photo making and media and design and how they connect all together. And I feel like I finally found my niche of the type of work that I like to make and the type of work that I want to do for the rest of my life. And so I wish somebody would have told me like you can do that now. Like you don't have to wait to do that or to find a job that fits within that. Because realistically, jobs are just meant to put you in a box temporarily for you to find the thing that you really want to do. And mostly it's for experience, but I wish that my professors kind of encouraged that creativity in general and just
Mm-hmm.
like the idea of creating something new.
I think that also when you see other people thriving after college, because they don't tell you that they make college they make it look like it's you have a job immediately after, and that's not true for BA majors. Okay,
No.
BS majors, yes, like business,
Mhm.
they got a job right after school. There's such a large pool for them to pick from. They have a job immediately after school, whereas I had to get a degree to even be considered for things.
Mhm.
I have to. And I
Mhm.
was not told that. I was not taught that. I don't think that it would have strayed my route of what I'm doing because I have a goal with this, but I think it would stray a lot of other people's
Mhm.
opinions of what they want to do, and they don't ever tell you anything about that.
Yeah, just like the preparation for the next step. And
Mm,
that goes even like back to high school. Like I feel like I wasn't prepared enough for the reality of college in its entirety and not just the academic aspect of it.
yes.
Like I feel like the main thing that I learned post grad after school was just like you literally see life through a totally different lens when you're in college. Like you have I don't want to say a false sense of reality because it's not like a false sense of reality because some people get a little bit of taste of adulthood when they're in college, but like for me, like I felt like what my and I'm grateful that my parents did this. Like my only job was to go to school. My only
Mm-hmm.
job was to go to class, come home, have an internship, maybe another job, but my job was to be young and to be in college and enjoy that. And I wish that I took more advantage of that point because soon as you cross that stage, it's done.
It's
It's done.
over. It's over.
And so many people do so many different things after graduating from undergrad that it's like even if you go back to grad school, it's not the same as undergrad because you don't have that fresh young mindset
Mm,
that you have going in. Like I don't know, I feel like it goes back to like the saying ignorance is bliss. Like
mm-hmm.
what you don't know like can't hurt you, right?
Right.
So it's like when you are post grad and you feel like the world is going to be here with open arms, like there's so many opportunities out there for you to get a job and like everybody says good luck, like you got this, you can do this. And it's like okay, like I feel good, like I'm gonna apply for jobs, I'm gonna get the job that I want. You put yourself on this pedestal like I can get a really good paying job for this amount of money because I got my degree in this thing.
And the
And
jobs
then
laugh
the
at
jobs
you.
laugh at you and close the door and
Yeah. The
shove you
jobs crumble
away.
up that
They
resume
do.
and put it into the shredder.
They
They
definitely
don't
do.
care.
They
You
don't
could have
care.
like all the experience in the world. I remember I had a job in college that was working for a hospital, the same job that I applied for in my hometown. They said no to me within 20 minutes. And I already worked that job at a more prestigious hospital.
Hmm.
And that just is so crazy to me. It's bizarre because I have the experience and I've already worked this job before. They just don't tell you that. They make it seem like you're going to have a job right after college. You're going to
Hmm.
all you need is experience. All you need is an internship. All you need is this. That's not it at all.
No.
They want you to have experience without you even being they won't even let you have the experience that you need.
No. And it takes away that idea of like just feeling hopeful about the future. Like I
Mm-hmm.
feel like being where I'm at and having so many rejection emails and like
Oh my
things just
gosh.
kind of being stagnant for so long, like it kind of makes you look at life like dang, like why am I going through this? Like, did I do something wrong? Like, did I not apply for all the jobs that I should have in my last year of college? Did I not do enough in college? Did I not like apply myself enough? When you like half the time it's not even that, it's just like the job market is really bad. And I feel like that's not really talked about. I wish that like college professors connected more students to certain jobs. And the reality is that they are doing that, but for other people, not people that look like us.
Right. That's another thing. In college, you have to be your biggest cheerleader because nobody's
You
going to
do.
be that.
You
Nobody's
do.
going to be that. It's going to feel like the world is against you. So if you're not, even post grad, so I guess both, if you're not your biggest cheerleader, you're just going to plummet. Like you're going to sink because it's so easy for other people who are also finding their own identity to push their ideologies on you. So it makes it seem like what you have going on and what you're thinking about is wrong, but that's not right. Everybody has their own viewpoints on things. Everybody has their own ideologies. Everybody's coming into themselves differently. What's right for you may not be right for me, and that's okay. But I think just setting yourself up to have your own individualism like you do, and that's easy to do too within like an art field. But in a sense, that's what college is too. Like it's supposed to be something that allows you to express yourself and find yourself. And there's so many people that are against you in that.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I think that with being COVID graduates, we went from being kids to immediately being adults.
Yeah.
And it was really hard to just be thrown into that world. But I do remember telling people my dreams of opening a nonprofit for kids who can't afford to attend to their mental health, and them immediately being like, "Oh, why would you do that? Or you're going to lose so much money doing that, or blah, blah." It's not your idea. Yeah. It's not your plan. Yeah. You don't know the experience that I have. Not even just having those minors, but my parents have opened nonprofits. Like, I have so many people around me, different connections with nonprofits. It's just, people will always look at your idea and be like that's, and look at the negative of it. And that's just so interesting to me. It's always been interesting to me because
trying to discourage you, trying to make you feel like, oh, you're going crazy for doing that idea, or like it's not going to pay off the way you think. Like, imagine if all the great people who are where they are now listen to those ideas or those thoughts. Like, would they be as impactful as they are now? Right. And I don't know, you just have to think of it as like sometimes your ideas aren't meant to be shared, and sometimes your ideas aren't meant to be talked about. Like, you just got to do them and know who to share them with and who not to share them with. And I feel like now being post-grad, that's one thing that, and that could be with anything. It could be with self-improvement, that could be with personal growth, that could be with your work, that could be with what you want to do in your career. Like, sometimes shutting up helps you out.
Policy. It's the best policy.
Sometimes shutting up helps you out, guys. And it also is important, like, who you're around, because there's always somebody listening, and there's always gonna be somebody probably plotting against you. Yeah. And like, I don't want it to like come off as like you have to think about there's always somebody out to get you. That's never the case all the time, but just keeping one eye open, keeping an extra eye open, having a little bit of discernment with certain things. Like, sometimes when you get on those tangents of talking about things that you like or talking about things that you want to do, people get the wrong idea sometimes, or people even get intimidated about your ideas sometimes. And especially being young Black women, it's even like 2 times more likely for that to happen
when you have your own mindset.
They don't like when we have ideas, guys.
They hate when you have something going for yourself.
They do.
They hate when you just don't sit there and look like you have nothing going on.
Exactly. Yep.
I would also say something that I wasn't used to with coming out of this town and coming out of high school is advocating for myself. You know, networking is huge. It's huge, especially in this economy where it is so much harder to find a job. It's so much harder to,
oh my God, yes,
you know, just get out there in general.
I wish networking was more emphasized. Yeah. And then, like, not even to shade like some of the older people that were around me in college, but like, so many people would be like, network. Your family would be like up and down saying network.
But don't tell you how.
And it's like, networking is beyond just like meeting other professionals. It's meeting other people who have same interests as you, that maybe have opportunities that they see fit for you. And I think what I ran into a lot was there would be times where I would just not have the time for it. And people don't understand the reality of, like, when you're in college, like, all of your time is for your classes. Unless you want to fall behind,
if you want an extra
every
year
day,
or two,
hours a day.
if you want an extra year added on,
right?
If you don't want to finish in those
Yeah.
4 years, hey, it's your money.
Right.
But we got out of there.
Yeah, I was like, 4 years or I'm gone. Like, I gotta
if I
get this
can,
done.
but yeah, 4.
Yeah, I wish there was like a class for it. Like, a class where it would be
Mhm.
perfect, or like a requirement to graduate
Yeah.
would get people to like go out there and get
Mhm.
more involved. But like when you're in college, like, you're swamped and you're drowning in work constantly, and it's like the energy that it takes to do that, like, you're not even thinking about networking
No.
at that point.
And then,
you're thinking about surviving.
Right. And then just having to deal with adulthood right away,
Mhm.
mentally, financially, just everything is being thrown at you. Networking is the
Yeah.
last thing you want to do. Like, it is the last
No.
thing on your mind.
No.
But I also think that is the importance of a good community around you, knowing
Mhm.
who to share your ideas with, knowing who you can trust, who you can go to in times of need. I think I'm very appreciative to the parents that I have, because my whole life they've made me seem like I'm like the best person ever.
Yeah.
And that
I
could
can
be
do
a lie.
anything according to
Right.
them.
That could be a lie, but I won't know.
Right.
I would never know.
No.
But I think that is very important to teach yourself too, is to, one, isolate when needed to.
Take time for
Isolate,
yourself, for sure.
Take time for yourself. Surround yourself by people who are deserving of your ideas, because it is a matter of deserving and not deserving.
Mhm.
And you do need to think about it like that. It's a matter of, do they deserve my time? Do they deserve my ideas? Do they deserve just whatever I have going on?
That leads me into like the next part, which is like post-grad struggles, post-grad blues. I wish more people talked about their experience post-grad. I think it's almost like a cliche experience, to where even my parents like haven't even shed a lot of light on their experience post-grad. And it's kind of like, hello, where's everybody at? There has been so many times where I was just like, I'm done. I'm just gonna like chill and let things happen the way they're supposed to happen, and maybe I'm going against what is supposed to be in this moment in my life. But that's the devil at work. That's that's the point where people want you to get comfortable. People want you to get compliant and complacent of where you are, and that's the point where you really got to put it up into a higher gear. And sometimes like there'll be times where I don't understand why my parents are putting so much pressure on me to do certain things, but those are the moments where they see that they see them in my own experiences, and they see like, okay, this is what I wish I would have been told, so they're telling me that, and they want me to push myself even harder because they know I can do it. I may not feel like that,
right,
but they might see something different than I do. So that's what surprised me. And my mom said the same thing, and like it's different hearing it from my mom and hearing it from my dad for sure, but also you got to realize like that what they experience is different than what I'm experiencing now.
It was also a different time.
It's a different time.
Yeah.
They don't have the same career path that I'm getting myself into, so it's different for me for sure. And I think like that goes into like the power of having options, but also the negative side of having too many options.
Yes.
In too many ways that you can do things, too many ways that you can go, so many things that you can do, especially like for us, because we're so good at so many different things. And sometimes like I'll think to myself like, I could do this, I can do this, I have so many different things that I could be good at, but you don't know where to start, then you're just stuck. Somebody had told me like before I graduated, like, whatever you do, have a set of goals. And I was like, I make goals every year. Like, I want to read 10 books this year. Like, cool. Right. New year, new me.
Right.
I want to go to the gym more. No, they not talking about them type of goals. They talking about those real goals that takes 5-10 years to get to. So,
and our generation is so impatient.
Oh my God. They
I'm talking about me too.
For everything.
I'm talking about me too. I can't even wait in the line. Like, I am so impatient.
Oh, dang! Like, I gotta go.
I have nowhere to go. Like, I have all the time in the world, but I feel like so rushed. Like, I need to get this done when I want to get it done. And we were just talking about this, actually, like having your hand on a situation that is not meant for you to have your hand on. Sometimes I try to fix issues in my life that are God-shaped, and I'm not God. I can't fix it. You just got to give it and walk away.
Yeah. You just got to, like, put your all into one thing and then just let it be for a minute and let it play on itself and let it marinate for a little bit and see how those blessings come into play later on. Like, I like to think that all of the work that I'm doing now is not going unnoticed and that is building up to something. And you know, they always say like those little changes along the way may not seem as significant, but the 30th day that you do it, or the 100th day that you do it, is the day that puts something new in motion. And so that's what I like to think when you're in post grad. Like, it's gonna be time where you feel like, dang, like time is flying by. I feel like I'm wasting my time doing something that I feel like I'm not supposed to be doing right now, that I'm supposed to be doing something else. Or you feel like you're not in the right place, or you feel like you should be 10 steps further than you are now. It forces you to be patient and to trust the process. And it's hard, especially for us, because we're busybodies. We get things done. You give us a plan, we execute, and we don't play about that. We get it done. And when the probability is you don't know, or if the end goal or the end output isn't in your hands or isn't in your control, it's hard to like do that, and it's hard to work towards something. Because like, if it was up to me, like, the first job I applied to, I would have got it. Like, but that's just not how it works.
And maybe it wasn't meant for you. Maybe you wouldn't have been happy there. Maybe you would have been stuck there.
Yep. Or maybe something else would have happened and it wasn't the right place for me to be. And so you just got to think of it like that. Like, if God wanted you somewhere, he would make it happen for you. And once you come to that realization, like, you're like, okay, I'm okay where I'm at now. I'm going to enjoy where I'm at now and focus on the process of it all.
Especially with us both having just dreams of leaving Michigan, I think that it would actually be best that we don't have a permanent job here, you know? And I do feel like I would be feeling stuck here if I did get one of those jobs that I applied to in my career.
Right? Yeah. That's another thing too, like, being like, for you, the only girl, for me, the oldest daughter, I feel like I have to stay here. Like, I can't leave my sister, I can't leave my parents, like, because I can't, you know, just like go to their house whenever I want to or see them whenever I want. Like, I'll be on my own completely. But I don't know, there's something appealing about that too, where you get to experience life outside of your parents, outside of your family, and seeing how you operate within that. But also too, that goes into like your own experience, because you kind of like got a taste of that a little bit. So now you're like, okay, I know I can do this, I'm ready. And I'm like, I've been here all my life, I don't know if I can do that. Because when I tell you, there's a lot that goes to being on your own. There'll be times where like I'll be working like all week and I'm like, dang, the dishes need to be done. The house needs to be clean. The bathroom, the rent needs to be paid. These things need to be done. How do they do it? That's what I'll always be like, how do my parents do it? How did they do it? How are they doing it currently with everything that's going on? And like, and all I ever see my parents do is work. So it's like,
and they don't complain.
They don't say a word. They're like, how was your day?
They worry about my little problem.
They stressing about me. Hello? And I'm over here moping around over one little thing that happened at work, and I'm mad about that for a week straight.
It ruins my life, actually. For the time being,
I'm done.
I'm ruining everybody else's day because of it.
No, like, literally.
I actually remember when I was getting told no time after time again when I first came home with jobs, and my dad just saw me like so
miserable,
literally barely eating, walking from the kitchen to get some water into my room. And then he stopped me one day and he was like, he actually said, he spoke here. He was like, I told you this. He said that worry and doubt is like faith for the devil. Snapped out of it. I was like,
he said that one line and just stopped there, went back to his work, let you walk it off.
But he got me.
There like,
he got me. Hello? And then I was fine. Like, I had to.
Actually, I have a good.
I got a great life. Yeah.
And also too, like, you gotta realize that like despite all the issues or like the struggles we've been going through, like sometimes I just think to myself like it could be so much worse.
Oh yeah.
It could be so much worse. Some kids get thrown out of their houses right when
Mm-hmm.
they graduate college, or like be like, figure it out, you got to get a job for yourself, you got to get your own place, we're done, that's it. Like my parents are like, stay here as long as you want.
That's how mine are
Like
too.
we're here for you. Like if you need anything, my dad will like do things for me that I don't even ask. Like I don't like little things that I used to do, like ask for gas money or ask like for food or like ask them to like wash my clothes for me one day when I can't do it, like will automatically be done.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, dang, did they know I was struggling? Do they see it? Like, you think you can hide
Am I
things
not
from your
hiding it
parents,
well?
and you're not hiding it well, actually.
Yeah,
They're
my
like,
parents always know when I'm upset. And I'm like, is it on my face?
like,
Am I just
dang, like I'm not doing a good enough job
Right.
hiding it.
I'm
like,
thinking
I
I'm
gotta
being
do better.
so
I gotta lock
good.
in.
Right. I think I'm being so good and secretive.
Yeah.
And my dad will be like, what's wrong? Oh.
Yeah. Be like, you okay? You seem a little,
A little off.
seem a little.
My mom would be like, are you okay?
Yeah. Oh no, my mom will not even like miss a beat. Yeah. She will come up in my face and be like, you been crying? You okay? You're like, what's been going on? You seem a little distant,
yeah.
a little off. I'm like, well, dang, mom, now I gotta talk about it.
You have to. The are you okay will always get me almost into
Oh
tears every time.
my god, because they know.
Are you okay? That's such a terrible question to ask me when I'm down.
Like,
no. My dad has always tried to instill in me that you're your biggest supporter. Like, it doesn't matter what anybody else says. Be your biggest supporter. Be your biggest cheerleader, because nobody else is going to do that for you but you. And again, I'm the youngest, so most of what I got going over here is the selflessness, but I'm working on that. I'm listening now. The ears are open.
Just seeing like how your parents navigate as people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you got to think about it like that, like especially with and you probably experienced this with your older brother too, seeing like the first kid graduate college. Yeah. And it's like it really put everything in perspective for me when I was graduating, like walking across that stage, seeing my parents in the crowd. Like I almost got a little emotional. Like I bawled my eyes out like before graduation. So I got all the cries out so I wouldn't cry on graduation. But it's just that sense of like pride when you're walking across the stage and being like, this is not only for me, this is for them, and like all of their dreams that they've had for me, and now I'm kind of like living them out, and they're seeing it in real time. And so like I remember like I think it was the night of my graduation, like my parents were like, we're proud of you, like you did it, like you're in this next stage of your life. And I was like, you know what, like I couldn't have done it without you guys, like right. Thank you so much, like for everything you've done from this point on, because it takes hard work to do that. And I can tell, like just hearing that, they were like, thank you, like we did good, like right. We did good. So like like your parents are experiencing life in a different way, but they're going through it for the first time too. And so like keeping that in mind like helps me try to understand perspective, even when they're getting on my nerves sometimes or like when they're hard on me and I'm like, oh, just leave me alone, I just want to go lay down and not be talked to right day, now, like yeah. And honestly, like half the things that they'll tell me to do, I'm like, well, dang, like I wouldn't have thought to do that at this point. I'm glad they said something because life creeps up on you so fast. Them bill collectors coming quick. When they want them loans back, they getting them loans back.
They're getting the loans back, yeah.
When they want that money, they getting that money. So it's like, honestly, at this point, it's like whatever they tell me, I'm like, you know what, regardless if I agree or not, I gotta do it. I just gotta do it. And it's like, it's so funny because me and my mom has this running joke, like, and my dad too, they'll be like, oh, she don't listen, like you don't listen. And I'm like, look, I'm doing well, I'm trying to listen, like, because honestly there have been so many times where like I've gone through something and I'm like, honestly, they kind of ate with that one. Yeah, this wouldn't have happened if I listened.
But I would never say that.
And you know it's bad when your parents are like, see? Yeah. I told you. And I'm like, okay.
I think my parents don't say see anymore, but they do with their actions, you know?
Yeah. Or they'll hit you with this is why we told you to do this, because this will happen and now you're here. And I'm like, and it just it's like a stab and a twist. Yeah. And it's like, dang, like, come on, guys.
And with trying to be your own adult, your immediate reaction to them trying to help you is always to defy it. Because
Yeah.
you're like, I want to make my own decisions. I want to make my own pathway. Like, you came to that decision, you came to this outlook because you had to go through a similar experience on your own.
Yeah.
So I want to be able to do that too, but it's just different times.
It
It is
is.
such different times.
It
I've
is.
heard people from our parents' generation and even people in the older generations too say that they feel bad for our generation because it is so much harder to even get a house. It's harder
Yeah.
to get a job.
Yeah.
It's harder to pay off these
Mhm.
student loans and stuff. It's just so much harder than it's ever been. And I think because you're taught to come to these opinions and come to these lifestyles by yourself, they don't tell you that this generation can't really do that. Like, you have to listen to other generations in order to get by.
Yeah. I'm all for like listening to people who've already experienced what you've, because like they can only provide you with wisdom.
Yeah.
It's not like they are trying to like block you from your blessings or anything that you want to do. And I think also too, I think a lot of times growing up in high school and college, like whenever you would hear like certain things that older generations would say, it's like, oh, they don't want me to do this because they don't see the potential within it. It's not necessarily that, thinking back on it, it's more so just like they're trying to provide you with the best tools that they wish they would have used. And they're, I feel like my parents just like take things out. They're like, this could work for this time, and they just throw it at me, and I'm like, ooh,
But
that
would it?
eats down. Like, I don't know, like I'm thinking about it for a week on
Yeah.
end, and I'm like, how did they even come to that conclusion? And then whole time they've experienced the same thing I'm going through now, and I'm like, well, why didn't you tell me that before? Like, I need the handbook. I need the guide. Like today. Actually, like yesterday. Like, I need that today. Because, like, honestly, if I knew that this is what post grad would have been like, I would have like put my seatbelt on a little bit, or like prepared myself a little bit more, or just like given myself more outlets to help myself out to cope with everything. But I think like you just have to think about your past self and just focus on like the growth you're doing now.
Yeah. I was gonna say, you have to give yourself grace in the situations, especially growing up black in white areas. You're taught to just criticize yourself all day long. Like, nothing is ever good enough. Nothing will ever satisfy whatever ideal you have in your head. And I think that there's only negative views to that, honestly. Like, there's no positive to that. You'll never be satisfied if you think like that. And to stop and just recognize yourself and really appreciate what you've done. Because I actually had the opposite experience with graduating. I was like, well, of course I graduated, you know, like, it's not that big of a deal. But it is. It's a huge deal.
It's actually
a huge deal.
Not a lot of people can do that.
No, and it's even a smaller percentage. I don't want to say a percentage because I don't know the exact percentage, but I remember seeing a really small percentage of black women, especially, who graduate, and even a smaller percentage of black men and women who get their masters or even go further their education. So it's a big deal, but we've been made to feel like what's big to us is small. So I think giving yourself grace is really important in times like this, and just recognizing your accomplishments, no matter how small or big they are.
I remember somebody saying like this is the time to try everything, and that there's no wrong that you could do necessarily, as long as you're, you know, going in with good intentions. Like, this is the time to like literally like reconstruct your whole identity, or like figure out other things that you want to do. Try everything. Like, you're not married to one thing to do right now. And I think like for so long I thought that like after high school, okay, you have to choose one career path and that's it. Then after college you have to choose one type of job to pursue, and that's it. But it's like, no, like once you graduate you can do so many different things, and like it kind of gives you like more to work with in a way. Future Ashley, future Hunter, like just keep doing you. Just keep doing what you're doing, because it's gonna pay off. And I know that what we're doing and like working on ourselves and like really pushing ourselves to think outside the box and to do better for ourselves, and also, you know, work towards giving back to our families too, like it's gonna pay off. Our hard work is gonna pay off. And so having faith in that is keeping me going, and I'm like just looking forward to seeing what happens next, because I feel like something big is gonna happen, guys.
I do feel like we're on the
something
horizon.
big is happening. Something big is gonna happen. What are your takeaways?
I guess the biggest thing just in life, giving yourself grace. That's a huge one. Giving yourself grace. and it draws back. I'll always draw back to being black. Like, I'm always
Just
gonna
be
draw
black,
back to
guys.
but giving yourself grace to be yourself. There is not one way to be black. There's not one
Yeah.
way to be a woman. There's not one way to be 22. So just give yourself
Yeah.
grace, and everybody else is going through their own journey. Everybody's going through their own experiences. There's not one way that your life is supposed to look. There's no supposed to. You're doing exactly what you're supposed to right now.
Yeah.
So that's my takeaway.
Yes, ma'am. Well, thanks for hearing us yap for an hour. If you stay to the end, kisses for you. Love you guys.
It's getting a little crazy over here, guys. I'm
If
seeing a lot of cars. My dad
too many
says,
squirrels.
Yeah, my dad said, keep your head on a swivel. I'm like, the whole time. Yeah, I'm seeing a couple people parking.
Yeah. Trying to get in our business, trying to hear the tea, trying to get the word.
It's not released yet. Wait for the release date.
Nope. But yeah.
Bye, guys.
Bye.